Hi all, and welcome to the second show this week of the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. Tonight will not involve the usual questions and answers at the end. This will be a statement, and I'm not too sure how long it will go on, but we have to deliver this statement tonight, and it will be an interesting show. Hi all, and welcome to the second episode this week of the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams, and I've had hold of this information for a few days, pondered which way to go with it. But there are times in life and history when the difficult choices have to be made and also endured. Nobody particularly likes difficult choices or circumstances that are thrust upon us, as most of us have at various times feared what happens next. The fear of change. What happens if we do this? What happens if we do that? I wonder, will I prosper or will I survive? And the list of doubts creeps in. Now, many of us have faced these scenarios many times during our lives, this lifetime and previous, with no doubt varying results. Many of us have also taken on the guilt of those decisions, no matter which way the scenario turned out. Many of us have also replayed events in our lives and wondered aloud, if only I had done this, or if only I had done that, it may have been a different outcome. Well, in spite of all those trials and tribulations, we're all still here, all still fighting, and all have a will or a desire to facilitate a positive change on this planet for the benefit of the all, not the few. Nobody can take that away from you, no matter what the world and the evil intent which lingers largely hidden in our midst. I played the song Faceless Man for a reason, because largely they are faceless entities, hide in the dark, except the light is being shined upon them. We have all taken a difficult path, one with many pitfalls, but from the day you realise yourself that something is not right with this world and endeavoured to find out why, you, in your own way, alter the course of not only yourself, but also history. So, off on your journey you went, learning horror after horror, new versions of history, new ways of looking at things, and unlearning the bullshittery we've all been fed all of our lives. It was, and has been, a painful and costly process. I called us the Sin Eaters, as we absorbed all the hideousness of unspeakable crimes committed against humanity and the planet, most of which defied belief. We've all been told by the disbelievers, I can't envision people being that evil, so it's not possible. I can hear you all now collectively nodding. The problem is, because many can't envision it, it makes the stories told unbelievable. But that is because we have applied our morals of our behaviour and not theirs. People apply their own morals and levels of behaviour to certain situations, and so then struggle to comprehend the depths of evil others will plunder to. Their morals have no explanation, short of using a plethora of cuss words. The levels they will go to obtain land, resources, wealth, fame, power and control appears to have no end point. The saying that they are scraping the bottom of the barrel in morals suggests they have some to begin with. They don't. So applying our morals to situations is a moot point when encountering people and entities that are way beyond evil. It is actually beyond words, emotions, or comprehension. Now, we have also, on our journey, lost partners, family, and friends for having the audacity to tell the truth. Or at least something far nearer to the truth than the bullshit we've been fed in a steady diet since we were born. This process of losing those close to us has been, for the most part, very painful. Who would have thought the very people we are all trying to save from themselves would sell their loved ones and friends short by denigrating us or cutting us adrift, classing us as lunatics, conspiracy theorists, and flat out rejecting us. These were all painful lessons indeed. But you, in essence, received an unexpected boost by those failures around you. It inadvertently left you largely alone and with your own devices to chart your own path, free of the disbelievers, energy vampires, and the slaves to the system. The reality is, from a higher perspective, is those people had served their purpose in your life growth. And now you're on a higher path of knowledge and self-development, and those people cannot sustain you any longer and ultimately fell away, leaving you kind of bereft at times, but ultimately in a better environment for you to grow and thrive. Some can sustain the higher frequencies. Sadly, many can't. And grow is what we have done. Despite all the rejection, despite all the sin eating, despite all the agents, shills, trolls, deceivers, and dare I say it, your own doubts. We all doubt ourselves. Little old me, what can I do? Everything is the answer. It's just a matter of applying yourself. No limitations. The process of unlearning stuff for many has been painful, knowing they were lied to on every level of their lives. So we sought sanctuary for what many of us believed was an environment of safety, where like-minded people could assemble and tell their stories, share their hopes and visions, and create a new family with people who were on our wavelength. We have largely achieved that with THI, and whilst I will get the bulk of the credit for it, at the end of the day, without the admins, the members and the listeners taking it all on board, I'm just a visionary, thinking, talking head, lost in the midst. But sadly, over the course of our awakening, we have found that our own safe haven has been invaded by those who choose to replicate the behaviour of the clowns, dabbling in unbalanced egos, taking money off people under false pretences, writing blogs and doing videos ranging from portions of the truth to full-on bullshit. Deceivers of the worst kind, in my opinion. The cabal, or L-ites, have an agenda and know no better. They have a goal to ultimately destroy us all. We have all learnt that by now and have no illusions about it. But sellouts in our midst creaming money, energy, time and deceiving us with their preset scripts leaves me at the least with a very nasty taste in my mouth over these people. Humanity sellouts based on putting themselves first and F everybody else. You all know by now who these people are, and I don't need to repeat their names. So in essence, we've had another round of unlearning some of their BS all of us have followed at various stages. Some still choose to hold on to that narrative and fight avidly against those of us who have worked it out. Those people, unwittingly, are also selling us out. As the offshoot of that is exactly what the cabal L-ites want. Divide and conquer, the oldest and most frequent use of programming applied to humanity. Sadly, even to this day, too many fall into the illusion trap and fail to see what is unfolding in front of them. Some have accused me and Randy Morgans for dividing the community by exposing certain people or groups, and so creating the divide and conquer in the community. That would be the case if we presented stuff based on hearsay and opinion, but it's based and supported on facts alone. It is then presented for you, the listeners or the readers, to decide for yourself. Recently, some have said my recent shows have all been on the negative side. Well, I could have been far more negative by relaying certain things that were held back for optimal benefit, impact or safety. It is not my desire to put out fear porn for clickbait blogs, shows or social media pages. The situation we face goes way beyond whether I'm popular or not. Way beyond. I could have gone along with all the plethora of bullshit being spread all over the internet. Planets, beings, dumbs all being taken down. RVs, Nasara, prosperity packages all being delivered. Restored constitution and republic. Vast wealth from dinars and cryptocurrencies, mass arrests all happening now and in 2 weeks. But that's not the truth of what's going on, is it? I'm not saying that there is not some things going on, because clearly it is. But I called this show Truth, Honour and Integrity for a reason, as that is the principles I operate with. If I just wanted to go along with the intel on the internet and all the hopium, I would have called the show Trash, Hopium and Insipid. But this is not what we are about. The truth comes out in a steady, controlled manner, which gives people of various stages of learning the opportunity to grasp things on a better level. Kudos to you all for standing up for a better future for us all and seeing part of my vision for the future for our group and the wider aspects through to today. and hopefully long into a brighter future. Now, here is kind of where we're at today. There are unpleasant elements in the next phase of Intel that we have to absorb, take on board, and focus our energies into a greater good and fight back against this insidious levels of darkness. First, I want to recap of what has unfolded on various levels as it plays in to what this show's all about and kind of where we stand. And for those that haven't grasped the levels of their desire to control and or eliminate us, you will understand once I cover some of this. What we have learned is they will commit any act of terror to push through their agendas, using mainly the 5 hooks of control in no particular order, which are money, religion, sex, drugs and alcohol. They are all used to distract, deflect and or distort your path. They have used terror events, or more commonly known as false flags, be it 9/11, Columbine, Pearl Harbor, Gulf of Tonkin, World War I and World War II, to name but a few. Other less known events were the fires that killed millions in Europe at the behest of the Vatican in the 15 and 1600s, the Black Plague, and also the Spanish flu. All deliberate events. They have decimated many of the ancient peoples, artifacts and knowledge. Tribal peoples hunted down with the end goal of eliminating anyone who retained the knowledge, and so they can rewrite their history in their image, in their books, not ours. Created wars for greed aligned with the divide and conquer. Even in this very country, it's divided into 48 lower states. They sacrificed our sons and daughters to be the soul dyers. I said that right, soul dyers, not soldiers, soul dyers. Sacrificial to the gods. Wanton destruction and desecration of many countries and their peoples. They've created illness and disease to deliberately lower our frequency and immune system and leave us open to infections so they can peddle their largely non-performing drugs and weaken us further. They have stifled cures of all known diseases to perpetuate our demise. Now, over the last 30 years, they have escalated things as their time for completing their end of the game was looming. They increased the levels of vaccines that are now known to be toxic to us. They poisoned the water with fluoride, stripped the food of nutrients and vitamins, put all kinds of toxins, carcinogens, nanotech in the air for further degradation and elimination of us. Rape and pillaged our labour, wealth, soul essence, energy, homes and businesses with their insane approach that everything and anything belongs to them. Corrupted so many people and groups by reversing their true meaning. But arguably the biggest damage done to us is denied us the knowledge of who and what we are, finding out who and what is operating here, where did we come from, how long have we been here, where is home, and finding our own path in life. Doing the things we all enjoy. All of it stripped her away into a one-size-fits-all meat slavery suit. So here's the gist of where we stand on a global scale. This planet was tied into a 16,500 years agreement with largely off-world entities known as the Draco. Recently, our team has uncovered this and are in process of terminating that contract and bringing about a real world change. These same beings, aligned with the dragon race, and the lesser known but more prevalent when you see their symbols dotted everywhere, including inside the Vatican, the serpent race, who are also in control of what is now known as the World Trust Account. They controlled it. That particular trust account belongs to all the people, not just them and their minions, but the puppets who have been fulfilling their roles. Largely those people have no clue who they are operating for and on behalf of. The ones at the top end now don't have that luxury as an excuse. They know. They have been plundering those accounts and increasing their own wealth and buying up vast swathes of all the lands on this planet. Not only that, they then lent all governments money out of our accounts, and instead of them being dividend bearing, which is what they are, it's asset based, not debit based. Which is what it should be. They charged interest. Like they owned the accounts. They don't own anything. The people who control the accounts are only trustees. And the interest they knew would get to a point of being unable to be paid back, which eventually, by their manipulation of the system, which they controlled and still do largely, they would collapse it and governments were left with no ability to repay it. Those then governments of the various countries are then forced to give away more of their lands, ports, airports over to the elites for more control. And if you think that only happens in Cyprus or Greece, think again. And think America, because it's already happened. Since 2007, the cabal's access to the accounts was starting to be blocked. And some of their hidden offshore accounts were raided, and some of their ill-gotten gains was returned back to the World Trust account. This brought about the permanent recession we still face today. That permanent recession will only go away when their demise is complete. Their arrogance has been their downfall. They just thought they would freely continue to ride roughshod over us like they have throughout history. They thought wrong. So by not gaining access to the accounts and the rogue Federal Reserve no longer able, initially anyway, to print notes from 2009 onwards, plus the Federal Reserve Charter, which ended in December of 2013, they now faced a real problem of lack of funding. The problem was they leveraged all the initial monies that were in circulation into oblivion. These are what's known as derivatives. Silver and gold were supposed to be 10 to 1 or less. Silver itself was 100 to 1. So every ounce of silver in existence that had been mined, they'd leveraged 100 times. Eventually, once you don't have the supply of the trust accounts, then you see how quickly funds dry up. Now, the UN treaties were all exposed as frauds, as they, like the Federal Reserve, their validity is no longer valid. Their sovereignty ran out also in 2013, if memory serves me correctly. It was 12 or 13. So they can no longer make treaties, agreements, or plans. Only sovereign nations or entities can make those treaties or agreements. So the Paris Climate Treaty then changed from the word treaty to agreement, and they thought they could get away with it. They were wrong. Because that still carries no validity either. And work is underway to get the 120 countries who signed off on that Paris Climate Agreement or treaty or plan, whichever way the name they're using today. They signed off on it with bribery and coercion. We do have the evidence. And work is underway to get the 120 countries to reverse that agreement. Now, apart from trying to rape us some more via global taxes based on the illusion that the planet is in dire straits due to global warming, no, it's in dire straits due to the heinousness of these people. It kind of bothers me calling them that, to be quite honest, who know no bounds. The planet is in dire straits because of them and their greed and their satanic evilness. But the worst part of the Paris Climate Treaty forces every country who signed up for it to hand over all current and future in-ground resources over to the UN for safekeeping. Yeah, right. Pull the other one that's got bells on. Then they would have all the assets to roll out their RV program. That's why they're doing it. The RV program is a bailout of their criminality and their debts, not ours. And ultimately, the funds created by the RV would also push through Agenda 21 or Agenda 30. So anyone who thinks that it's going to be fantastic to have an RV really need to think again, because you're just voting for your own demise. So their inability to steal from their accounts ended back in 2007, 2008. They then went about being creative, and they started using the internet, alternative media, as a new stream of revenue to keep them going. This, along with threatening countries, using bogus and or defunct currencies like dinars, zims and dongs. They got agency gurus to peddle it amongst our community with the promise of wealth and untold riches. While some may gain or may have gained early on, the vast majority will lose their money and have. Only they collect the riches because it's stacked that way. So you gave your dollars for a currency that was defunct dinars. A Bush scam. Then this very show alerted you all to their new game of printing super notes to the tune of 170 billion, which was dispersed globally to again keep them in the game and carry on their long-term plans. That's in the process of being stopped also. Further collections of principal was received, again, largely via the alternative community and wider, via so-called charitable donations following various largely false flag events from Sandy Hook to Las Vegas. Other notable collections was $19.5 billion into the Clinton Foundation for donations to Haiti following their deliberate false flag event. It wasn't an earthquake, it was HAARP. To date, 6 years later, only 6 homes have been built in Haiti. Those people are not going back. What they're up to now is they're reclaiming land over in Haiti for pennies on the dollar, citing that it's distressed land. And because the original owner has no funds to upkeep it or keep it going, because they've lost everything, they can then put compulsory purchase orders on the said land and use the people's donation money into the Clinton Foundation to buy up the whole of Haiti. Now, the latest cash collection and wealth stealing is taking place via Bitcoin, cryptocurrency nonsense. Again, it's promising the alternative media and wider people untold riches, although this revenue stream has a deeper connection, tying us all into an AI system of currency. All of us. So, where are we now? Well, their power, control and wealth has much diminished. They largely only wield the promise of power via threats. It's all an illusion, as they no longer have the sovereignty or the world trust. Their former tight control structure has now disintegrated into fractured groups called factions, which are also now infighting within their own individual factions. Maybe time for another song. I'm struggling with my throat tonight. Hi all and welcome back. So, on we go. So, the factions are all infighting. We've covered this on the Thursday show, and that's reaching epidemic proportions. The threats that are going on between each other is amusing in many ways, but it does have serious implications on a wider scale, which is what we're getting to now. Now, there's two parts of this intel. That's the agency calling. Yeah, we know you're listening. That's the third agency call today. But we're going to spit it out anyway, whether you like it or you don't. And if you disrupt, I will repeat it. Since November of 2016, after the Rothschilds emptied various government services accounts, including the United States of America, in what was called at the time the largest heist in history. The United States Inc. government services was left bankrupt and also being blocked from a solution via the World Trust. Now, the government, in their wisdom, decided to use credit for all government services via banks since November last year. The banks are now also bankrupt, aside from the added super notes. And this credit was issued on the basis the RV currency revaluation being delivered in the said time. And then all the credit this country has obtained to keep it going would be repaid from the delivery of the RV. To me, that quite frankly is a ridiculous scheme that has put this country and its people in dire straits. So the 16,500-year treaty is now all but complete, and that will change things here more than anyone listening to this show realises. The cabal have a Luciferian covenant with the dragon families, and for those that are not aware, all valid dragon families, blue, black and green, are ran by reptilians from ancient times. Now, that covenant ran out on December the 23rd, 2012. But bizarrely, they were given a 5-year extension, which runs out on December the 23rd, 2017. 8 days' time. Hold on to that date for a moment as I fill in the rest of the picture to bring us up to date. In September of 2017, the United States budget was kicked down the road for 2 months to December the 12th, which recently was extended again to the 22nd of December, a week today, the day before the covenant runs out. And all this kicking the can was to buy more time for the RV to be released, and as you all know by now, that RV will never take place. They've been trying to pull that stunt off for near 25 years and have failed spectacularly. But sadly, large swathes of our top brass in this country still think it will go ahead. It won't. The top brass have all been seduced with untold wealth via fistful of dinars, promises of titles and self-importance, except they were all promised the same thing in each country, Oops. So on Monday, just gone, they tried to implement the RV again, and it failed again. They do not have the assets to support it. This is why they wanted all the country's in-ground assets to then leverage against it. And this is a possible or probably likely explanation to the New York pipe bomb incident on the same day, to provide distraction again. There is strong evidence they are testing and using very advanced weaponry in the destruction of California, where they are displacing many people again. Is this the first recent attempt of emptying whole regions? No. Think New Orleans. Think Haiti. Think Puerto Rico. Think Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, Somalia, the Congo, Yugoslavia, Ukraine, and other regions, but you get the gist. So the question is, what's this all leading up to? Well, the reality is it is to corral us all into tighter and tighter regions, to implement their programs for zombie virus, which is the Zika virus, which failed, Ebola, which also failed. So now they're on to the next stage, which is where we are at as of today. They are threatening a global biochemical attack if they don't get what they want. And on December the 22nd, when the RV is not delivered again, our US Inc. government is likely to go into default and a government shutdown will prevail. All efforts are being made to prevent that. There's people up 20 hours a day working for and behalf the people. A default and a shutdown will cause untold suffering to the people that rely on those paychecks to keep their heads above water. So that is all government workers, military, social security checks, benefit checks and food stamps cancelled overnight, should it go ahead. Banks would also close without warning, as they only have limited funds, which were boosted slightly by the rogue supernotes. December the 23rd, the covenant runs out, and this terrifies them more. And they have issued threats beyond comprehension should they not get what they want. The threats are as follows. They will unleash a global-wide biochemical warfare, which is bad enough, but they appear to have an ancient weapon from Atlantis times, of which the dragon groups were part of that group, known as the Atlanteans. All love and light, my ass they were. Master weapons experts, master geneticists. Sound familiar? Should be. So they did a small test sample of their new weapons, which was shown briefly in California recently, that incinerates all in its path, similar to what happened to the Twin Towers. My intel on this is there's a wider, bigger weapon that is all-consuming, that rolls across vast swathes of land like a tsunami and destroys everything in its path. A tidal wave. It turns everything, and I mean everything, into dust, and once implemented, as I understand it, it cannot be stopped. So the beast in them has been unleashed. Some would say they were always that way, and who am I to argue? It is indicative of their callous and petulant nature to try and strike out like the vipers they are. But rest assured, we are ready for them and their plans. And always remember, we have prevented many of their bigger plans. And so while it is deeply concerning, try not to hold on to any fear. That is all they have left, is fear programs. The work done largely behind the scenes, which frustrates some, I know, but it had to be done that way for us to prosper. They operate in stealth mode, and we had to do likewise. The benefit of listening to our show is you get more direct intel than nearly every other show. Some have opinions on things. We get the facts as they happen, direct, and is released when it's safe to do so. Some demand intel and say just throw it out. I suspect quite a few would rather have not heard what I just had to say. May demand intel, but sometimes it's better to not release it. It's all about the balance and the delivery of the information. You've had the last few minutes of shock to the system. Some of us have had this held in for a while. Be prevented, blocked, stopped. And it's deeply uncomfortable, I can tell you that for nothing. So what I ask people, listeners to this show, is please allow myself and the many good people out there to decide when it is best or not to release certain things and intel. Those of you with long memories, perhaps not so long, 12 months ago, they threatened, similar last year, they threatened to blow up the whole of London and New York to smithereens. But by putting it out on our show, it went some way to preventing what they had planned. Hopefully, it will make some of the people with a fistful of dinars waiting for their payout to rethink their stance. So for the second year running, they are threatened to destroy the holiday festivities. These people care for no one but themselves. We know that by now. Never underestimate their will to cause maximum destruction if it fits their agenda. All of us, whether they are a road sweeper, a painter, shopkeeper, or the President of the United States, are just mere pawns in the game for them. They're to be sacrifices for their gods that they worship and honour, but not ours. So this show has been presented tonight in the hope of changing how things roll out. Please stop asking for Jesus, the UPU, the Pleiadians to come and save us. we have within us the ability to save ourselves, and hopefully then go on and prosper, minus the satanics that walk amongst us. It is ultimately up to us and our power to shine light on the dark and provide sense and reason, and to remember time and time again reports from several sources that have stated the plans and events they had planned, and yet so often it doesn't happen the way they were shown or revealed. This leaves one potent conclusion. Just us speaking the truth, the reality of who and what we are, they can threaten to do something awful, but we can change the outcome. We already did last year. Voicing what they want in the dark brings it out into the light, and that changes the future. Our thoughts, and especially us processing our fears and rising above them, has power. Far more power than they can ever muster up. Our thoughts have power over anything that they try to do. We've just forgotten. To rise above their threats and stand in your own power, and rest assured, we will not be backing down to their threats, and we will continue to take the fight to them until their demise. I ask all people of the world to rise up against the beast. Face it down and defeat it. Forget what religion, country, sex, gender you are, and rise up as one. They are terrified privately of what we can do. Bearing in mind, it doesn't always take violence to take down a bully. But if that is what is required, having been provoked, that is what we will do. We have our own fury that can be dealt with those clowns. America is the ultimate battlefield for various reasons, and it's the prize they wish to have out of all of them. Once America goes down, so does the rest of the planet. So the people in other countries that don't like Americans because of what our government or military have done, think again. We need support. But let us not stand around and wait for them to come. Let us take the fight and our power to them. Time for militias to quit training and start defending the people of this country. Time for the military to quit being up bloodline and family member assholes and defend the people of this country. Time for politicians who are more interested in humanity to call out and shut down those in your midst who are not. We have a genuine opportunity for humanity to end this system. Let us not waste that only chance. We will only get one go at it. Make the most of it. They will not stop their relentless pursuit of destroying us. and we must match that effort as a collective, because in spite of all their resources, they still haven't took us down. Thousands of years, loops, extensions, and we're still here. Time for all to get active in whatever role suits you best. Whether it's annoying banks, corporations, politicians, TV people, smashing robots, or speaking out and spreading the news. All of us have a collective responsibility to save ourselves. I have faith we will all come good when we needed it most. I will not promise it will be easy, because it won't. It will get very ugly here on in. Be under no illusions about that. The cabal are shitting a brick. And when people get frightened, like snakes that they are, they strike out. That's what we have to be aware of and prevent. Ultimately, we will prevail. Do not lose sight of that. That's not blind faith. We will prevail. But the concern is how ugly it will get between now and then. Unlike the past, when the dark prevailed, this time we will. And we will write a new chapter and install our own history on how we overcame all obstacles, trickery, deceit, and evil to go forward with a better world for us all and for all successive generations. I would ask you all to have cash on hand at all times now. Best to be safe than to be sorry. Like I said, much work has been done to prevent the government shutdown, but if certain elements insist on continuing with the stupidity, there's not a great deal we can do unless we just see it out, and then it'll be worse. It won't get better under their system. It can't. Stay prepared, stay calm, stay strong. Stand in your own power and your own sovereignty, and never let anyone put you in any fear. This has been a special show of the Truth, Honour and Integrity. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye for now.